Welcome to another episode of Alpha Intuition Podcast. We're going to help you guys crack that crazy girl code. I'm your host, Kesha Blair, and today, as always, we have joining me my beautiful, insightful mind wellness coach and my co-host, Essence Yarbrough. Essence, welcome.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Hey, everyone. We are very, very excited to bring you another episode filled with real talk, practical tips. We are just ready to have a ball tonight. So I hope y'all are ready.
All right, guys. So we're
How
going
you
to dive.
doing, Keisha? You
I'm
good?
doing great, girl. I'm doing great. All right. So I just want to tell everybody we're
Okay.
going to dive deep into this topic that we got, and we're going to be talking about dating an alpha female. And I know you guys have asked me about this several times. And, I'm just here to tell you, I'm one of those. I don't really like that term, but, it's been coined and mostly people who are called alpha females, they are strong, driven, ambitious, and we know what we want and we know how to go after it and get it. So this can be an incredibly attractive trait, but it can also be intimidating for some guys. So we're going to discuss what it means to date an alpha female and how to understand the ambitions and how you can go about supporting your partner and her needs. So
Yeah.
let's get started. All right.
Yes, yes, yes.
All right. So I got my screen all messed up here, girl. Hold on one second. You ready like I thought I
We'll
needed
break.
to be
Remember
one.
that? I've been feeling that dance.
Do some entertainment. All right. All right. Yes. So dating an alpha female. So I'm just going to ask you this question. So how do you feel about that term, alpha female?
So it does rub people the wrong way. I think it does
Mm.
kind of rub me the wrong way. But I just so happen to know a lot of great women who have to be in the forefront and they wear it well. But I do know that there is a bad connotation. There's a little bit of a negative. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm torn on it. How about you?
Well, it's kind of like, to me, it's almost like a buzzword that guys use to talk, to say that that's a woman that's not going to listen to you. We get labeled
Right.
aggressive, we get labeled all these things. So they, instead of saying aggressive, they say, oh, that's an alpha female. It's like, So hopefully with the
Yes.
conversation we're going to have today, we're going to try to change their minds. So we're going to talk about how to win in life and relationships, because I know being an alpha female is that, that's one thing that we try to do. We always like to win in life because we're ambitious, we're leaders. And it's
Right.
like, this is something that as alpha females, often in relationships, we try to make sure that we don't be too controlling, because that's something that we're labeled with
Yeah.
as well, right? But we're also highly
Yep.
ambitious. So, and we're used to taking charge and making decisions and telling people what to do. But that doesn't necessarily mean that, we want to do that in our personal life. Honestly, I mean, I want somebody that's going to take control and make sure that everything is okay. I mean, if I have to do this at work, I don't want to do that at home. I mean, you got to think about people in certain professions. If this is what you do all day, when you get to the house, you're not trying to do none of that. So if I'm bossing people
Yeah.
around, telling people what to do, when I come home, I just want to relax my mind, turn my brain off, and say, I want somebody to say, baby, I got it. And all I'm going to say is, okay. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. Yes, I do. Absolutely. And I think it's sometimes people have a hard time with a strong personality. And I won't even say a strong personality. Sometimes, men might have a problem with, having maybe I don't know, maybe it's the ego. Do you think it's the ego?
Hmm.
And that
Yeah.
that keeps them like, because remember like how sometimes they won't say certain things to their woman because, oh, she too much already, I gotta dim your light a little bit. I'm just
Well,
saying it happens.
that just depends on a certain guy. And I mean, for men, it's just important just to recognize that an alpha female is, her ambition, that it's not a threat, but it's just a trait. It's just a trait
Yes.
that we want them to admire. So like, you should be
Mhm.
able to just engage in conversation and ask her about her goals and just like, what inspires her. Just like the conversation that men want women to have with them. Ambitious women, we want the same thing because we're driven.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
leaders, right? But
Yeah.
in a relationship, we don't want to take on that leadership role, or we shouldn't want to. I don't
Yeah.
want to take on that leadership role, you know.
Right. We want somebody that's going to understand us when we get home and not act
Mhm.
like an employee, right? They're just going to be able to honor us,
Yeah.
show genuine interest still, support our aspirations along the way, build and still being able to build strong connection, getting past the ego. So I think that is very, yeah, you're on point. You're on
Well,
point with that.
say this. Now I know you talk about being an employee. Now I know I've dated some guys. Like, they get to that point, they're like, "I'm not your employee." It's like, really? See, why you got to go there? Why does my job have to come up first? You don't sound a certain way, and because it's my it's just your tone. Well, I'm just my tone. Okay, so anyway, it's like, well, that's not probably not going to change. I'm sorry that I mean my voice is not lighter. It is what it is. I try to be as tactful as possible, but sometimes, yeah, I think I do probably come across probably more assertive than what I should be in certain situations because mentally and in my mind, I'm just trying to if I'm trying to mitigate something or I'm trying to help. Sometimes people may take that help as me being too assertive or what they call being aggressive, and it's like, no, it's just me trying to be helpful.
Yes, and you actually bring up an amazing point. An amazing point. I think sometimes men and women, period, just when dealing with different people, I think that sometimes people misunderstand the way that somebody's coming across, right?
Mhm.
Especially if she's a quote unquote alpha female. What can often happen is that you just don't know that person. And
Mhm.
because that person doesn't roll with the same system that they roll with, they take offense to it because it's not how they were raised or how they were taught to perceive things. But this is something about the alpha woman that I think people, and I mean alpha in a good way, not
Yeah.
in a non-submissive, combative way. I mean alpha female in the sense of she is a woman who stands out. She is a leader amongst others, and it doesn't down anyone else. But what happens is that she's able to present a new perspective. And you have to be with a person and be with people who understand that about the alpha female. You see what I mean? And understand you individually as just as an individual person, knowing and learning who you are. So if somebody meets an alpha woman and they might be attracted to her because, like you said before, it's very attractive. She's an attractive individual. She lures these men because they're like, oh, I'm excited by her. She excites me. But then when they get in a room with her, it's like, well, where's my place with her? How do I position myself? So an alpha personality, an alpha character, he has a lot more confidence. That woman might test his confidence, but at the end of the day, he knows how to read the character and the personality of the woman and not get it twisted with who he is. So you can't be worried about somebody else who just don't get it. And, they're going to have to
So
learn.
So what I want to say behind that is that, sometimes, like you said, there'll be an excitement when they're intrigued by this woman until something clicks in a man's mind that says she doesn't need me for anything. And
Right. They want to
that's
know
when
their
it comes
place.
up. It's like, okay, well, if you don't need me for anything, why am I here? And should we dummy ourselves down just so we can stroke his ego just to make him feel needed? I mean, I usually don't do that because I figure, honestly, if I had an alpha male who was actually strong in what he did and who he is, he's not going to want me to dummy myself down because he's going to know when times get hard, if things ever come about, he knows that I'm going to handle it. And I can take control if the need arises. It doesn't mean that I'm going to and trying to be controlling of him. And an alpha male is not intimidated by a strong woman.
They're not. They're not. One thing I will say, because sometimes you'll hear alpha men say, I can't get with an alpha woman because I don't want to feel like I'm competing. Again, I think they're looking at the negative. You see what I mean? Like we can't be
Mhm.
bumping heads. It got to be one head, right? But
Mhm.
an alpha male who has perspective and insight on who he's with, and the alpha woman who has insight on the man she's with, they will take the time to understand, oh, I don't need to step up. That's not an air. I can rest and have peace in this space. My man's got
Exactly.
this, right?
But guess
And
what? When
then
you need to, you can step up. It's like that don't mean you have to, and you're not going to try to overpower that man when you know that he got it. And I didn't mean to cut you off, and I'm gonna give you the perfect example. Of course, everybody's favorite couple is Barack and Michelle, right? It's like you dating the president, but Michelle is her own woman, 100%. She's doing her own thing. She is
yes,
truly an alpha
yes.
female. However, she's not going to overpower the president. You know what I mean? She's going to let him do him, but I bet behind that's only on camera. We don't know what goes on behind closed doors. But
We
however,
don't. We don't.
yeah.
But see, that's what men are concerned about oftentimes. Men are concerned about how is she going to represent me in public,
But
right?
see,
And
yeah.
how do we see, because I'll just say, well, how do we see Michelle and Barack? She always looks elegant. She's always gentle. He's always a gentleman. and they're both leading together. You see a power couple,
So,
right?
but it's a difference between an alpha female and a toxic woman, right? There's a huge difference
Hmm.
because it's like you
Talk
have
on
an alpha
that.
female and then you have an alpha male. So the alpha female will actually know how to compliment her man in public. And if something is not right, you're not going to emasculate and bring your man down in public. If something you see that needs to be
Right.
adjusted, you're going to find a way to mention it to him to make sure that, if he sees fit, then he's going to take care of it. But he knows that if you're speaking to him, it's out of love and it's to help to
Mhm.
grow him and not to tear him down.
Yes.
When you have that power
Yes.
and you have the perfect couple between the alpha male and the alpha female, I'm talking about you can have something powerful. So, and that's another topic because I don't want to speak too much on that. I'm gonna be skipping around here, but that's just something that we definitely need to, make sure that we consider as alpha females that when we have run into that perfect man, that alpha male, that we remember that he is not our employee and we do have to respect that brother or that man.
Yes. Yes. Now, quick question that
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask you. With being toxic though, right? Do you
Mm-hmm.
want to can we talk a little bit more on that? Because
Let's talk
I
about it.
I feel like I feel like
Bring them back.
men confuse. Yeah, I feel like so I think it's very easy for men and not just men, even as sisters amongst each other. It's easy to confuse what's a toxic woman versus a leading woman,
There's a
right?
difference. It's a difference.
There is a grave difference. So toxicity is starting drama, right? Not, lacking in elegance, right?
Mhm.
Lacking in tactfulness, right?
Mhm.
Toxic intentionally creating strife within you to get her way, manipulative, right? These are things that sometimes can excite a man, but and they think, oh, she's just strong like that. But sometimes that strength is not really strength. It's really insecurity, parading around, as strength, as
Mhm.
leadership or alpha female. And it's all bark, no bite, right? And so you don't need that kind of toxicity. You want somebody that's also going to keep you in a space of feeling safe with her, emotionally, physically, right?
I'm
What do you
going
think?
I'm going to say this that um, usually if you have someone that's just toxic, whether male or female, that's somebody you need to run away from, period. You just don't need that, especially when you're someone who thinks on another level. You're a high achiever, you're ambitious, you all these goals. A toxic person is only going to tear you down. So I think if you have that dynamic on either side of the relationship, it's never a good thing. And you're never going to thrive in a relationship to where this person is being toxic, and mostly because they're intimidated by you, right? Because they're worried about what you're doing instead of worrying about what they're doing. So they're trying to tear you down and try to bring you down to their level as opposed to trying to come up to your level.
So could it be perhaps? Could it be perhaps? No, 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 we good. Could it be perhaps that I mean put my finger all in the way
Are you good?
that when men are thinking that women are, well, they just take your money, well, they just run all over you, they go behind your back to your homeboys and all of that. Could it be that they just chose the toxic woman? Could it be?
But
Could
see,
it
but I'm gonna
be?
say this. But why did they choose a toxic woman? Because she needed them for something. Ooh. So that's all I'm gonna say on that. We're gonna go to the next topic and talk about communication and confidence.
That's a
Ooh.
thing. Okay. It's a
So,
thing.
so communication is very crucial when dating, not just the alpha female, but just in dating period. It's like,
Yeah.
because you have someone, you're dating a woman who is confident in who she is, who knows how to be clear, who knows how to be assertive. And sometimes, man, we've said this before, we just need you guys just to listen. It's okay. We don't always need you to try to fix something because it's not always broke. Sometimes we just need a listening ear. And we want somebody that's going to be open-minded about our thoughts and just be able to receive what we're saying and not be trying to have their brains twirling trying to fix something that's not even broken. We just wanted just a sounding
Hmm.
board, right? Because alpha females, we
Right.
appreciate partners who can hold their own in a conversation, and we respect their opinions and we just want them to respect ours.
Right. Exactly. And you can't be afraid to share your connection. You can't be afraid to share your own goals because she needs to at least be a type of woman that's willing to support your goals, willing to support your dreams, willing to support. the things that you need in your life, to respect you, that you guys have respect and communication between one another. Those things are very important. And do you think that because of the misconception of the alpha female, do you think that people kind of overlook that and they might just try to come in and dominate a woman as opposed to truly getting to know her? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So that they can have healthy communication?
That is a great question, but I'm gonna let me ponder on that one. But I want to bring up something that you mentioned earlier
That,
about being in competition. It's like, sometimes when you get into that dynamic to where you're helping someone with their goals, they want you to pour into them, but don't want to pour into you. And then it becomes a competition because it's like, okay, you're doing more than me. But it's like, why can't we just do it together? It doesn't have to be a competition to see who can outwork who or who can reach a goal the fastest. How about we just reach our goals together and just be supportive of each other? So that's where that communication
yeah.
comes in.
Oh, yeah, because that's a good point, because you do hear sometimes men talking about how it's like, I need a woman who's going to support what I have going on. She needs to come into my vision. Now, I don't see anything wrong with that man that needs that. He knows what he needs, right? But it is interesting because it's like, so I dated a guy, and he is definitely an alpha male, right? And he has, multiple things going on in his life, and so we're dating. And I had things going on too, but I have to admit, he made
Wait,
time.
I
What?
thought you was about to say multiple women. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You got multiple women. You said multiple things
No,
going
we
on.
wasn't. Yeah, no. Mm-mm. That
I'm
was one
sorry. Go
problem
ahead.
we
Go
did
ahead.
not
Go
have.
ahead.
Right, that's hilarious though. But no, so he had multiple projects. Do you know? And I had things going on as well. He was super supportive,
Mm.
very supportive, but he wasn't supportive in the sense of, oh, like, let me be your assistant. But he was supportive in the idea of, in the realm of, hey, I know somebody.
Well, I think it was
Hey,
more so
or here's
yeah.
this program. You could use this,
Yeah, well, I think it was more so because he was confident in who he was and what he had.
Yes.
And that's probably why he was supportive of you, because he wasn't worried about trying to make sure that he got to a certain place before you got there, because he was already there waiting on you.
And yes, and he was also just a positive person anyway. That helps. There, when people are already positive, it makes it easier for them to just look at the other person and want to see the positive. That's a big thing too, because also I've dated somebody before. They were always negative, and so they immediately were like the dream killer.
Yeah. So
Okay, well, if you can make it happen, then fine. No help at all, like just negative. It's
well, I'm
like,
gonna
ooh, get away.
it is hard to be positive when your money ain't right. Which brings me to our next topic, and income differences in
Preach.
relationships. So most of the time, you know, bringing up money and how much people make is always a touchy subject anyway. So when you're dealing with that and it actually comes up, eventually it's going to come up in a relationship. But I think, it's not all men, but it is kind of difficult for them to handle a woman who makes more money than they do mentally. So I think it kind of bothers them. And
Mhm.
so as women, we just need to just tread lightly there. But me being a six-figure earner, I'm gonna tell you like this: I'm not gonna say I could care less about how much money a man's make. I could care less about how much money he makes if he's financially stable. So as long as you paying all your bills with the money that
Yeah,
you make and you're comfortable with it, I don't have a problem with that. And
yeah,
it doesn't matter. I don't
yeah,
need you to match my salary.
yeah,
Because I mean, I'm not trying to
yeah.
pay your bills, but in return, I'm not going to ask you to pay mine. Now, I know some women may think differently about that, but I don't make bills that I can't pay. And I know everybody doesn't
Mhm.
think that way. Now, if we decide to join together, then that's just a conversation that needs to be had about who's going to pay what and whatever the case may be. I
Mhm.
know some men where it's like they don't
Yeah,
even want their woman to work. And if you work and that's your money, it's like, I'm going to be a man, I'm going to take care of the household. Totally fine. Then you have some guys that want to just,
right.
split everything. Like, it just depends on what you're willing to accept for that person that you've chosen to be
Yeah,
with.
yes. Yeah, I definitely see that sometimes, well, sometimes that's the last thing people even want to talk about is their finances, but they want to show and prove like they have their finances together.
Hmm.
So I believe it's more of how intimate have they gotten together as far as mentally trusting each other. And I think a lot of people go into situations in relationships where they don't fully trust each other. And so money can become an issue along the way. And so they'll lack the financial confidence with somebody, or they like somebody so much they don't want the money part to mess it up.
Of course not.
Because once people yeah, once people start having those money conversations, you might see another, or it might be all your insecurities or fears might start popping up, because there are a lot of fears associated with money,
And then
and
it becomes
so then
competition.
it becomes a competition. People begin to project certain
Hmm.
things, egos flare up. So you have to, I believe it's really important to know the character of a person. You know, I preach that all the time. Know the character of an individual. Don't get into bed with them first. We do that all the time, right? That's just how society is, because we don't know the character. So then everything else starts popping up to the surface, and we're like, what the heck? And we don't trust the person anymore because we didn't get to know their true heart, beyond the money, beyond the bedroom and all those things. So yeah, it's trippy, and we have these masks on. So at the end of the day, I think, being open about financial communication, you know, being respectful about those, how you want to contribute, how you feel each is expected or has a standard of contribution to the relationship or a marriage. What do you think?
Look, I was watching for some reason, don't even ask me why I was binge watching Ready to Love this weekend, right? And
Oh,
I don't remember what episode I was on, but it was this one guy who basically said that he ain't trying to spend money on a woman until he can find out whether or not he likes her. And he was just like, there's plenty of stuff that you can do to where it don't
hmm,
really cost nothing. He's like, we can go to the park, we can go walks on the beach, we can go to, and it was just like, it painted such a terrible picture of him. But I know there was more to this guy than just that. But he's probably been burned a lot, by spending his money by on women who were treating him like a food and beverage brother and were not interested in him. So it's like, men are very
yeah,
protective of their money. And I know that,
yes,
men, they spend money on things that they like. So if it's a woman that
yes,
they like, I can understand him saying that, where he was just like, well, I need to just figure out whether I like this woman first before I start spending my hard earned money on her. And it was a lot of women on the show that were just like, oh, I can't believe he would say something like that. He doesn't want to take me out and he doesn't want to. And I'm sorry, I mean, I don't know if this comes from me working around guys and hearing what they have to say. I'm totally fine with that. I
mhm.
have no problem because there are so many other
I
ways that
don't
you
either.
pour into me. Like there's so many other things that you can do, like, to where you can show emotional support. We can have conversations, people that you really like, girl, I've been on the phone with them, like all into the wee hours of the night because we enjoy speaking to each other. So it's not always about the money that you spend on someone. It's about the connection that you have with that person and how much quality time you spend with them.
I totally agree. There was this video kind of going around of this gentleman where it talks about how he had only $20 to spend on a date. And what he did was he got like, I think he got like a Moscato or something, like a little $5, one of those, right? And I love Moscato, girl. I don't care how cheap or expensive. I love a good Moscato, right? He
That's
got a
dessert.
Moscato,
That's
a bottle. Yeah, but he got a little Moscato, huh?
you ain't supposed to be drinking no Moscato, just be drinking it like it's Kool-Aid, girl. That is another topic. I'm
So
sorry.
yes,
Anyway,
but let me tell you, this is what he did with it. All he had was $20. All he had was $20, and he wanted to take this girl out. And she totally rolled with him. He got that. He got like some type of something to eat. Something, I can't remember what it was, but it was cute.
Taco
And he
Bell.
got them something to eat. No, I know, right, girl? No, nowadays fast food costs more than everything. Anything else, you might as fine dining. They say now, but no. So and then he took her to a mountain. They went
Oh
and
wow.
walked a real simple mountain, and they just watched the scenery and talked for hours.
See, that is
So I
beautiful.
love that.
Yeah.
And here it is with me, girl. I'll take Moscato any time of day because it just tastes good.
Go get you
But
some farm.
oh, not that much. Yeah, I ain't that good. But yes, girl,
With a different name. Go and get you some Boone's Farm.
girl, right. Look, so no, so I definitely feel you on that, girl, because it does not. If you have good conversation, then it's good conversation. I sat and had a great conversation with somebody on a first date. We just met at a lake and we talked for hours.
Yep.
That's my go-to because it's a public space and we're in front of each other. That's it. I can't hide behind nothing, you know?
I would rather have somebody who would take me on a date to where we did something that didn't cost anything, as opposed to somebody taking me to like a fine dining restaurant. It's like, who cares? It's like, it's more so of
Mhm.
us, the connection that we've made. And out, girl,
Right.
to go on a mountain hike or just to go something to where you'll get to know that person a little bit better and see how they interact in certain
Right.
settings. Far more, that's something I would rather do than going to sit up at an expensive restaurant just because, oh girl, he spent this kind of money on me. Who cares? It's like this. Oh no, we spent like the whole day together, and let me tell you what we did. So you have
Yes.
to think about. Um, I had somebody that said something. Oh, I'm gonna read it. Let me see if I can find this. I wrote stuff down all over the place. I got it right here.
Okay. While you looking for that?
No, I got it. Hold on. But she said
Okay.
your wealth. She said your wealth is wrapped up in your purpose. So you have to think about what your purpose is and the wealth of that. So when you talk about relationship wealth, and you think about your purpose behind it, and you have someone that you're really into, and you plan an entire day for them to where you can get to know them better and you can do things. And especially if it doesn't cost you anything, that takes a lot of thought and planning. And so if you're really vested in someone, and you have a purpose on being with this person, because most of the time men know the woman that they're going to be with when they meet her. So if you're investing time and energy and planning something for this woman, then your wealth is going to be wrapped up in your purpose.
Yes. And I got a saying, girl, mental wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mental wealth. It comes in many forms. So it's not just your thoughts on money, it's your thoughts on the value of people, not just the value of the dollar and the value of yourself. So very important. That's a great, great insight. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Totally agree with that.
Look, that's one thing why I keep all my notes around here on my desk. It's like, oh, I know I
You
got
know,
to
I you know,
say.
right. I want men to really be encouraged because I know there is a lot of, negative Nancy's out there and negative Neds talking right now. I don't want men having to worry about money like that. Focus on who you are choosing to connect with and don't make money. Money is so all over the place and up in the air right now.
It just depends on
You
who you
do have
are
to
and how
make
much
sound
money
judgment.
you make.
Right, right. And well, and the thing is, it's like, you can have the money and I don't know. I guess it depends on the type of woman that they're reaching for. Because sometimes in their head, they're like, "Oh, I gotta really come with it. I gotta show da 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 da." But then they get mad if this woman wants the expensive dates. If that's the type of woman that they've reached out to, that they pursued. But then they get upset. It's like, "Oh, she a gold digger, yada yada yada," and it's like, but that's what it takes for her to keep her upkeep. That's the
Mhm.
lifestyle she's showing you that you want. So if that's not really you, men have to really be authentic within themselves. If they like nice things. Don't hold that authenticity
No,
back.
I'm going to say this. I don't think it's just men. I think people need to be more authentic.
People in general,
So, like,
definitely.
certain
Yeah.
things don't pertain to just men. And of course, ideally,
Yes.
historically, we want them to be the breadwinners and we want them to be the leaders. But we have a lot of women out here. Like I say, we're ambitious. We have goals, and some of us have been single for like a long time. And sometimes it's because we want to be, not because we have to be. So when we find that right partner
Hmm.
that's willing to allow us to be us and we allow them to be them, then you have that perfect combination. Then that's when people thrive. But ultimately that starts with communication. You have to make sure that you have an
Yes.
open communication and you're confident in that person to know that they won't tear you down for what you have to share with them. And that'll help alleviate a lot of concerns. It'll help to just build a stronger bond between people in relationships.
I'm gonna tell you where I believe it starts, and that's only because I've talked to so many people about this. It starts in their heads. It starts in their minds. It's the head game before they even get to the platform of who they're gonna click on the dating site. It's the head game. It's their pregame thought of what women want, what they want. Are they in their loins or are they in their heart? Are they in their head? Are they in their fears? And then that gets projected into either the type of woman that they pursue. You know what I mean? It goes into the type of, conversation they
Ooh,
choose to have. What?
you made me think about a post
Oh,
I saw
it's
the other day. And I was
what?
just thinking, oh, you made me think about this post that I saw the other day where this guy was saying something about, people were just shaming guys for taking people to Cheesecake Factory, right? On a
Oh
date.
yeah, girl.
And I'm just like, I love
Yeah.
Cheesecake Factory. I don't know. They got like, I don't know
Me
how many
too.
what, over 500
I don't
options on eating. I'm like, man, we could go there like all the time. Love Cheesecake Factory.
know. Yes,
But it's like,
me
so
too.
this guy was just basically saying, I can't believe women were saying like this. And it's like her weave looked like this, her shoes look like this. So I just put a question in the chat and I was just like, so you have to ask yourself, why are you attracted to women like that? Because there's plenty of women out here who love Cheesecake Factory. I'm just
Right.
saying. Like I say, it's not
I'm
even
one of
about
them.
that. So it's like, why are, it's not more so why is that woman responding that way, but why are you attracted to a woman like that that wouldn't even want to go to a place like that and be appreciative of you taking the time to spend your money on her that you worked hard for? So, we got to think about it from that angle too.
Yes, and correct me if this sounds off, right? I know for myself, right? It fit well, no, matter of fact, no, you can't correct me on this. This is just how I
Okay,
am,
yeah,
right?
take
So for me,
it down.
girl, it take a minute. So for me, I have this perception of desiring the guy who I'm gonna know 20 years from now. 20 years from after we first meet. The guy, who is that guy, right? So if you're spending high amounts of money and you have it to spend for the next 20 years and so forth, because that's just who you are, then be that guy. But if that is not you, I need you to be your authentic self. Now we grow and we change, right? So
Mm,
obviously, and circumstances change, and we have to change with the times sometimes. So I'm not saying, and I'm just saying in general, if you're the type of guy that wants to take care of his woman, right? Are you doing that because you're trying to just impress her? Or are you the guy that's like, no, I like my woman to work too. She could work or she doesn't have to work. Be
don't
honest
worry
about
about
that.
me
Don't,
me pressing my lips together. You know I got something to
well,
say.
hold on, let me get this out. I know, because my whole thing is this. My whole thing is, well, actually, no, because you know me, I will go from one topic to the next. So I actually, go ahead, jump in there.
No, you can go ahead and finish your thought.
I want to hear it.
So you said you want to know the guy that you're going to know for 20 years, right? You have to be
Hmm.
willing to be able to sustain that relationship with that person for 20 plus years. And that's not going to
Right,
be peaches and roses and
right.
blueberries and jelly beans for 20
Yes,
years. You're going to have some hard times. You may have moments in there to where he might decide he doesn't want to be with you anymore. He might decide that I really like her, but I really love her, but I really don't like her right now. She getting on my nerves. And he
yes,
might decide that there
yes,
may be another woman that he may want to have an emotional connection with. Not saying it may not even be physical, but just could be emotional. And you have to figure out, how are you going to be willing to deal with that? Are you going to leave, or are you going to sustain and hang around to make sure that you're in his life for those 20 years too? Because you're not the perfect person and neither is that person. So you have to just realize that you have to make sure that when you decide to be with someone, you've fallen in love with the perfect imperfect person and you're willing to withstand the test of time, and no matter what, you're going to work through it.
yes, and an amen to that, because that's what a lot of people don't do. What's the saying, Keisha? They say men get married and they want to stay with the woman that they first met, right? They don't want their woman to change. They don't want their wife to change. And then women, when they get married with the intention or the thought that, oh, he will change. He will grow more into his potential, right? So they're always, and that is the craziest thing to me.
I'll always
You
be unhappy.
gotta,
You can't change nobody that want to change
oh,
themselves.
yes, you will always be forever happy. Oh, so let's just put that out there. Men, if you are listening to this, if a woman does not take you as you are in the beginning, now I can understand her
No,
challenging you for some growth.
it's a people. I'm
Let
not
me
gonna let
get it
you put
out.
that on the men. You can't put that on all the men.
No,
It's
hear
people.
what I'm saying. Hear what I'm saying. This is about talking up to men
No,
about these women.
no,
Yes, about these.
no,
You have alpha females that are like, okay, I need you to come up more. I need
no.
you to come up to my level. I'm
That's a
talking
human.
about what the people talking about.
Yeah,
Huh?
that's a human trait. So
I'm
that's
not saying
yeah.
yes,
So
but
I'm
I'm
not
not
gonna and I
saying
do that to my guys now. I'm gonna have to cut you off on that one because I'm not gonna be in agreement with you telling them to do something that you're not telling the women. Because if you got that's something that people should do on both sides. When women should not
yes,
accept it and men should not accept it either.
yes. But what I am saying, you already know. I already think you gotta the same thing that you're trying to put out. You better be able, or that you're trying to get. You got to be willing to put out. I already believe wholeheartedly in that, right? My thing is, oftentimes you have women where they are just in this space where they're like, because I was in a marriage like that. I had a situation where I was just like, is he going to do any more than this? Is he trying to grow anymore? And people will be like that. But oftentimes the complaint from men is that she want me to change, or I'm not, she's mad I'm not making enough money, or it's the fact that she changed. All of a sudden we not having sex. All of a sudden she don't want to, cook for me. She don't want to clean the house messy. I come home, I'm at work all day. I come home, it's dirty.
You know what that
She
equates?
wasn't like this in the beginning.
You know
What?
what that equates to? So in the beginning of that sentence, you said that you were wondering if he was going to do more, and what else did you say? You said you
That
wanted him.
women expect, they're like, are you going to fulfill more of a potential? Are you going to grow more? Are you going to make more money? Are you ever going to be a bigger earner,
Well,
for the
but
family? Our family's
well,
going to grow, we need
yeah,
more money.
what you were, but just what you were saying as far as like in the relationship aspect that you had, you were saying your needs weren't being met, and you were saying you wish that he would do these things to help to meet your needs, right? That you these was
Right.
that
And
you were wanting.
yes.
Yeah. So what I'm going to say to that is
Yes.
that the same thing that you're feeling, I can guarantee you 100% your partner's feeling the same way, and he's wondering why you're not fulfilling his
Yes.
needs, and why you're not, whatever they may be. Whether you said how come
That's
she's
the
not cooking,
point.
how come whatever it is, his needs are not being met, your needs are not being met, and then you have it to where we're going to get into this next
Hmm.
topic where you don't have that mutual respect for each other, for the independence of that
Right.
other
You
person.
lose it.
You lose that
Yes.
mutual respect. So that's where that comes from, because
You
you're
lose
focused
it.
on what you want and not focused on what they want. And if you take an opportunity to stop focusing
Yes.
on yourself and think about what you need and think about what that other person
Hmm.
needs, and the other person thinks about what you needs, you guys will never have an
Yes.
unhappy day.
And that's the whole thing. That, oh my gosh, I just was talking to somebody about this because they were just like, well, this person just kept blaming, 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 right? And I was like, this wouldn't even be an issue if you had two selfless people.
There you go. Exactly. 100%
It
correct.
was like, it just wouldn't even be an issue. And that was one of the things in marriage that I had to learn, was that I said, I just don't make you happy. I'm expecting you to do this. I'm expecting you to da 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 da. You're not interested in that. And I'm gonna tell you what happened. Once I learned that he just didn't have an interest, I said, oh. He was like, what do you mean? Oh, I said, well, I was putting something on you that I thought you wanted,
Mm,
because he had presented himself a certain way in the beginning, and he knew that. And so when we communicated about it, I said, oh. And then I never hit him up about it again. And in my heart, I was able to, and this is for people who are dealing with this, right? Once it was communicated that, well, that's just not my goal. That's not what I'm buying for. Oh, well, then my bad. I misunderstood that. I was putting the cart before the horse. My bad about that. And we never had an issue with that again. But
mm,
that was plaguing me. I was taking myself into a state of suffering. And then he was isolating and moving on into another headspace. I was moving into another headspace.
mm.
And you see, ultimately, by the time we figured it out, it was like, oh, well, you know what I mean? But we had a mutual respect at that point. We had a mutual respect that this is what he wants and this is what I want. We had totally different needs. And we had come to understand that.
Yeah, well, you started out by saying something about, you told yourself that you just don't make that person happy. It's not your responsibility to make another person happy. Seriously, and it's not anybody else's responsibility to make you happy. But
Right.
I'm gonna
Yes.
tell you,
No. But don't think that that's what I'm saying with that though. I wasn't saying that with that. What I'm saying is, in his perspective, this was me trying to talk for him, which was another problem. Right.
yeah,
Me assuming, well, I'm just not making you happy. Right. That was my little. People that say that condescendingly, and that was in a condescending manner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't do it for you. That's kind of what that was. I don't want to do that to you then, right? But actually I did not, because he was my friend. I didn't want to do that to him. I didn't want him being with somebody if he didn't want that. I didn't want to
mm,
be with somebody I didn't want. And see, that was me projecting.
yeah. Well, I want to talk about like mutual respect for independence, because I mean, I've been married before, not currently married. Hopefully we'll get married again before my life is over. But I've
Hey.
toyed with the thought of having two master bedrooms in my house, in our home, because I like being alone sometimes. I don't want to be up under somebody all the time. I really don't. And my
Hmm.
grandparents, they didn't start out that way, but they ended up to where they lived in the same house, but they had separate bedrooms. And I don't have a
Yeah.
problem with that. So I've had guys that be like, nah, we ain't sleeping in no separate beds. But I'm like, but we're in the same house, it shouldn't matter. Because
Yeah.
sometimes,
Yeah.
you just kind of want to just have your own space. And I'm not saying always, but
Yeah.
I think it could be a good thing to help to make a
Yeah.
relationship last longer. And that's just my personal opinion. Everybody may not feel that way, but I think if I ever get married again, I would have no problem with having a really nice size house where we just had an
Yes.
additional
Separate
bedroom.
suites.
That's a two suite. And
Hmm.
I mean, it can even have like an adjoining bathroom or something. I'm just joking.
Yeah.
Like a Jack
No,
and
ain't nothing
Jill,
wrong with that. No, I no, I actually I'm kind of a fan of that idea. I'm sort of
right?
a fan of that idea because it's kind of like you create distance. Sometimes, what did they say? Familiarity breeds contempt. Sometimes you can be in each other's space so much, and that just kind of might help to spruce things up. If people are in two separate, rooms, it might be like, hey, I don't know. There was a video that was out of this guy. Him and his wife, they slept in separate bedrooms. And he was just like, he was talking to her. He's like, baby, people got a problem with this. You got a problem? She's like, no,
Exactly. And I wouldn't either.
no
Not at all.
problem at all.
Not at all.
Mhm. Well, and
That phrase that you
well,
said, I didn't mean to cut you off.
huh?
Go ahead. I just want to go back to that comment you
Uh-uh.
said. So don't let me forget. But go ahead and finish.
Well, menopause. Sometimes hot flashes can make a woman want to be in a separate.
You better
As
run
we
on
get older,
top.
as I get older, my mama would say that. She'd say, if I ever get married again, I just get hot. And she don't even really have hot flashes like that no more. But she's like, I just get too hot to be in the same space, in the same bed with somebody. I'm like, Mama, you just need a really one of them King Cali, them California
You
Kings,
need a really good fan and
you
an air
know.
conditioner. Um,
Right.
anyway, so you talked about, you said familiarity breeds contempt. I do not
Breeds
like that.
contempt.
I don't know. I have to look up actually who even said that, but I think that's just for selfish
Right.
people. I don't think that. I think
Mm.
that actually absence makes the heart grow fonder, and
Yes.
and that when you're around someone longer, that's only for people who are intimidated or they have ego issues
Hmm.
within themselves, to where they're looking at
Right.
relationships or looking at their partner or whoever they're speaking
Right.
of as their competitor, and not as someone as their partner. Because if you have someone that you're
Yeah.
on the same team, so what are you
Yes.
bringing contempt for? So I don't like that phrase for that
Yeah.
reason, because I think it's only for people who are selfish, who really don't um are not where they want to be in life. So they're looking at someone else with
Hmm.
envy and jealousy.
You do have to question where some things come from. People say stuff all the time. That's just like how they say cleanliness is next to godliness. Hey, that used to put pressure on me when I was going through depression. And I was like, I'm a believer, but my house is not mess. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like God ain't with me because my house ain't clean.
Yeah,
So sometimes sayings can really mislead people subconsciously. Yeah, that's an excellent point.
exactly.
That's
But when
good.
it comes to mutual respect for independence, it's like, alpha females, we actually have ambitions and goals, and we have interests that we want to pursue. Of course, when we like guys, women, we want to be next to that guy. We want to be with them. We want to do things with them. But there will come times where we want to do things without them, and we have certain
Yeah.
things that we want to do. Especially when you become a high achiever and you got a lot on your plate. I'm not going to be able to be up under you all the time. And actually, a woman shouldn't want to be up under a man all the time, and a man definitely shouldn't want to be up under a woman all the time, because guess what? If I'm always up under you or you always up under me, ain't nobody making no money. We ain't paying no bills. We're
Men,
gonna be together. And
right.
I'd rather be rich together. I'd rather be successful together than to be than to be broke and happy. Because you ain't never gonna be happy and broke. Well, that's for some people. But
Yeah.
I would never. I'm gonna say for me, I'm never gonna be that way. I'm always gonna make sure that I do
Right.
everything that I can to get to the next
Mhm.
level.
Yeah, that's powerful. And sometimes I think people look at there's that God complex again that I'm bring up again, not the God complex, where it's it's not really godly if you're thinking about money, or it's not, you know what I mean? You should be more humble than that. Like, I'm like, who thought of that? That was the devil. Like,
Yeah,
who
because
said?
I'm not even gonna lie to you. I'm in a room often with millionaires and billionaires, and that conversation. I'm telling you,
Yes,
life is so much easier when you got money to do it with, and it's not the money, it's the
yes.
love of money. It's what you're doing with that money once you get it. So as long as you're tithing, as long as you are giving back, as long as you are pouring into other people, there is nothing wrong with making a lot of money, none whatsoever. That's a broke person that said that, girl. Trying to make them
Right. But
feel
see,
good about
who,
being lazy.
right. But then you have a lot of people that are just like if they're talking about, oh, we don't need money, but they always trying to get money from the wealthy. Like, it's like, I don't understand the confusion that people have around. It's so many misconceptions and
Mm,
just mental mishaps around money, period. So having that mutual respect for each other, I think also comes with respecting each other's financial background, respecting each other's emotional, mental background, what they've gone through, social background. All of that, you want to pay attention to those things. We're so accustomed to overlooking it. And it's like, if you don't talk about it, it doesn't exist. And then it becomes a problem when they've created this little bubble. They get married, or they commit to each other, or get homes together, or cars together in each other's names, and then it becomes a problem, or have kids together. Then
and
if they never learned people skills. They never learned social skills. They never truly learned how to interact with the opposite sex. A lot of men and women didn't even know, you know what? I actually have a lot of resentment for women. I actually have a lot of resentment for men. So, and we talked about that before, in other cases, where it's at the end of the day, you have to know who you're with, and you have to know where you sit, what position you have, what's your mindset
yeah.
around this gender.
Yeah. Well, when you're thinking about, alphas, which is like people who are, and that's just a term that we use for high achieving people, high achieving males, high achieving females, people who are ambitious.
Hmm.
When you are with someone that is on your level, and I think I've said this before, it's the reason why movie stars date movie stars. So there's nothing
Yes,
wrong with an alpha female dating an alpha male, or a high achieving woman dating,
right.
excuse me, a high achieving male, right? Because, and you just have to make sure that you have that mutual respect for each other, and know that we're not in competition. We on this journey together.
Right.
And when you have that mindset, it just creates a balanced and fulfilled relationship.
That is beautiful. I totally agree. And here's the thing, is that I have seen two leading people literally, like in their homes, seeing how they function. Now, they can do anything behind people's backs, but oh my gosh, they support each other's successes. It's like team camaraderie, and it's beautiful. And I think that sometimes, if we have to take a step back and say, what am I able to support in someone else's life? Can I be what they need? Not just about what I need, what do they need? And again, it's the selflessness.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to say this. I see it all the time, especially when I go to, my speaking engagements, or when I go on events, when I go to events with Next Level Speakers Academy. This the husbands and the wives that are in the room
Mm-hmm.
with each other, and how they're pouring into each other, and they want to see each other succeed. And we even have some couples where
Mm-hmm.
both speak, and they both have their own separate businesses, and they're both thriving because they have that
Yep.
mutual respect for each other. And that is a beautiful thing. It 100% is. We
Yes.
don't, it's almost like people have that poverty mindset when you think you're in competition with somebody that's on your team. It's like, why are you trying to, why are you trying to be the mold in a relationship and sabotage my career when I'm here to help you? So we got to get
People
out of
have to remember. Yeah, people have been. See, this is the thing. People are talking about stuff all on social media, like, just they're getting straight to the
that.
pain, right, of the experiences that they've had, or that they perceive, or that they've seen others have, and they put that at the forefront, with it, which makes people assume that this is all I have to look forward to in a relationship. This is the only place where my value is for a woman. Then I don't need one. I can pay for da 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 da. Right? But all the respect is out the window before you even meet each other. You know, a man is only good for this and a woman is only good for that. Well, the respect is you're already having to fight past your own mental guards, and defenses by the time you even have a sit down with this person, you're already taking your fears to the table. People
Yeah.
don't talk about that. They say, what you bringing to the table? My fears and my concerns that you gonna use me. Oh my gosh, I know that wasn't attractive, but that's how people are really coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I 100% agree with you. And I'm going to tell you what, that we've talked about a lot today. But
Hmm.
so we're going to wrap this thing up. Do you have any final parting thoughts for our
I
viewers?
don't.
You
I
didn't pull it
don't. But
off already.
honey, y'all make sure that y'all go, Keisha. If you got your event down in Atlanta to hear Keisha speak, Keisha
Uh,
the electrician.
well, I'm just going to say, I hope you guys do show up for this. It's going to be actually, it's next month in June. But when I'm down there, I'll probably try to make sure that I tag, or you guys just make sure that you watch Alpha Intuition, or go to Kesha the Electrician on Instagram, and just look for my posts. But guys, that's it for
Yes,
today's show. And I hope you
yes,
guys really got some insights. And remember that it's all about balance, mutual respect, and support. And if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to cover in our upcoming episodes, just feel free to reach out, put them in the comments down below. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you like what you heard today, don't be afraid to share it and leave us a review and let us know how much you enjoyed our show today. Well, until next time,
yes.
I just want to tell you guys that you just make sure that you keep growing. And thank you so much for watching Alpha Intuition. Peace.